Remember when a kid from the audience played the drums for The Who?
Can anybody play the drums?
Let's go back.
Tamagotchi,
Of Y2K.
The year is 1973. The world is terrified of The Exorcist. The United States exits the Vietnam War, and O.J. Simpson rushes for an NFL record 250 yards against New England. 21 years before he would set the record for most rushing yards on the I-405 in a white Bronco. Bette Midler wins Best New Artist at the Grammys. The legendary Bruce Lee dies only at 32. And in other tragic news, Yoko Ono is granted permanent residence in the United States. And of course, sex, drugs, and rock and roll are at their peak, and nobody embodied the rock star lifestyle the way Keith Moon did. Keith Moon was the drummer for every owl's favorite rock band, The Who. Stories of reckless behavior and substance abuse rung out through the history of rock, and turning Keith Moon into sort of a mystical figure. Moon's combination of drugs, alcohol, and a lack of common sense created one of the most legendary nights in rock history. But before we get to that, I think we first need to take a look at Keith Moon the man, and all the degeneracy that led to the events of that infamous night back in 1973. Keith Moon was the original drummer for The Who, joined by John Entwistle on bass, Pete Townsend on lead guitar, and frontman Roger Daltrey. However, Moon was more well known for his actions away from the drum kit. There are 3 quick stories I want to touch on before we head to Cow Palace in Daly City. There's the hotel incident, the Nazi incident, and the explosion incident. Pete Townsend recalled a story of Moon and himself being driven to the airport, in which Moon exclaimed, "Oh my god, I've got to go back to the hotel room." The driver quickly turned the car around, assuming Moon had forgotten something important. Moon rushed back into the hotel. He returned with a TV set in his hands. Moon quickly tossed the TV set into the hotel pool and casually returned back to the car and said, "Phew, I nearly forgot." The band would end up missing their flight. In 1970, Keith Moon, alongside Bonzo frontman Viv Stanshall, donned Nazi uniforms for a photo shoot. After the shoot, they thought it would be a good idea to head to the local pub for a pint, while dressed in full uniform.
Objection!
It ended with the two being physically tossed out of the pub, and Keith Moon wouldn't take the uniform off for another week. The Who are famous for smashing their instruments at the end of sets, which concluded with Moon's drum kit exploding. During an appearance on the Smother Brothers Comedy Hour, Moon wanted to go out with a bigger bang, literally. Moon ordered there to be extra dynamite added to his drum set for this appearance. It resulted in... well, take a look. Pete Townsend said he temporarily lost his hearing in the moment. And so now that you understand a bit about what makes Keith Moon tick, let's jump to a moment in music history. November 20th, 1973. The Who are performing at Cow Palace in Daly City, California. This is their first show of their Quadrophenia tour. It's a big deal. I mean, their opening act was Leonard Skinner. However, before the show begins, a fan offers Keith Moon horse tranquilizers. Moon refused them because he's a responsible adult and knows not to take drugs from a stranger in a crowd. End of story. Just kidding. Of course he didn't do that. The fan said, "Hey Keith, do you think you can handle these?" To which Moon responded with, "Of course I can take it. I'm Keith fucking Moon." And then proceeded to down the horse tranquilizers with a bottle of brandy. The show kicked off with the song I Can't Explain, which is suitable considering Moon would soon not be able to explain where he is. In the middle of the band playing Won't Get Fooled Again, Keith Moon collapsed behind his drum set. Stagehands rushed to the stage and carried Moon off. Pete Townsend told the crowd Moon wasn't feeling too well and that he isn't used to American food. Alcohol and drugs aren't American food, unless you live in Buffalo. Backstage, Moon is given a cortisone injection before Townsend and Daltrey bring Moon back onto the stage doing their best Weekend at Bernie's impression. Moon is ready to play. And down goes Moon again. Once carried backstage, Townshend steps up to the microphone and says this.
Can anybody play the drums? I mean somebody good.
Mike Denise begins shouting at security that his friend Scott can play the drums. Concert promoter Bill Graham asks if it's true, and Scott says yes. 19-year-old Scott Halpin climbs up onto the stage. He's handed drumsticks and a shot of brandy to calm his nerves. Halpin takes a seat behind the legendary drum kit of Keith Moon, as a roadie points out different aspects of the kit that Moon has adjusted. Townsend approaches the drums and reassures Halpin by saying, "You'll be fine, I'm going to lead you. I'm going to give you the cue." In a matter of minutes, Halpin went from being a fan to the drummer of one of the biggest rock bands in the world. And if you're wondering why I'm not playing the clip with audio, so that you can hear how he plays, well, I don't think YouTube copyright would be too kind to me. Just imagine someone playing the drums, and it sounds just like that. One thing about Keith Moon is he doesn't play the drums. He beats them like they owe him money. Despite only sitting in for 3 songs, Halpin had a newfound respect for Moon, saying he was exhausted after only 3 songs. Keith Moon and Scott Halpin will forever be linked in music history, and unfortunately they're also linked in tragic endings. Just 5 years later, Moon would die in London from a heminevrin overdose, a drug he was prescribed to deal with his alcohol withdrawal symptoms as he tried to become sober. His last words were fitting for Moon. After his partner Annette refused to make him steak and eggs, Moon's final words were, "If you don't like it, you can fuck off." Halpin, on the other hand, passed away in 2008 of a brain tumor. What Pete Townshend wrote about him after finding out about his death is the perfect way to end this video. Townshend said, "Scott is often in my mind, and always with the greatest gratitude and affection. He showed such youthful courage and humor standing in for Keith Moon that fateful day. Scott played so well too. He played drums brilliantly, smiled, and went home. I measure my life by great and good people I have occasionally met. Scott is one of the great and good ones. I worked that out in 30 minutes. That must surely say something about the man. Thank you everyone for watching."